Once you have the requirements in your hands and clearly understood, the first thing that comes to your mind is how to provide the solutions that can fulfill the business needs. To design such a solution, you need to think about how the high-level structure will be to suit your case. And that's exactly what the fancy word architecture means. So what is software architecture design? In a nutshell, it's how the system structure will be on a high level and how its component is communicating to each other to achieve the business requirement. It doesn't contain the internal behavior or the implementation of the components, because this is related actually to the software design and can be tackled later on during the development process of the system. Luckily, there is multiple design patterns to choose from off the shelf. For instance, we have the monolith, we have the SOA, and we also have the microservice architecture design. So let's start with the monolith. It's the ancestor of all patterns, and this is where everything started. To actually explain the monolith the easiest way, imagine that you have a system. This is fully functional system to actually provide you with the solution for your system requirements, but is entirely isolated from outside world. It can provide you with the simplicity and the speed to develop your system. But that might come at the cost of inflexibility and inability to integrate with the other system. It's harder to scale and mostly won't fit enterprise solutions that needs communication between systems to accomplish the business need. Monolith can have a bad reputation associated with it, but it really depends on how you're applying it. So let's dig deeper into its pros and cons. So let's start with the advantages for monolith. It's the simplest form for system development. There is no extra cost for infrastructure and complexity, and it's perfect for small projects. It fits the proof of concepts and also MVPs. But all that will come at a cost. It's harder to scale, it's harder to develop due to code complexity, it's harder to cooperate between the developers, and it's also hard to apply agile in the development process. So let's take a look at SOA. To resolve the problem with the monolith implementation, which is inability to scale and integrate with other services, the service-oriented architecture allows. It allows you to scale up smoothly, as a service can be detached from the system and yet able to communicate with other services. So you can assign a team dedicated to develop and actually maintain one single service, and it's also allowing you to scale up that specific service as well. Also, there is no specific size of responsibility or number of responsibilities that the service should have, meaning you can assign different sizes of responsibility and amount of that to each service according to your business need. However, all that will come at a cost of complexity of infrastructure. Also, deploying one single piece of code to a service might impact the entire system. So let's take a look at the pros and cons. So let's start with the advantages. It suits bigger system, distributed system, and it's also easy to collaborate between developers. You can also have different development stacks, and definitely this is easy to maintain and scale. However, there will be an extra cost for the nature of the infrastructure setup. Also, the performance will be impacted by the nature of communication between the services. Also, there will be extra cost and investment due to the nature of using different technologies. Now it's the time for the most fancy and trendy architecture, the microservices. The most of the fuss around that architecture is for being the most recent and the latest trendy one among them all. But it doesn't mean it will be perfect fit for any situation. I mean, in software, there is no one size fits all. Basically, microservices is like a splitted, shrunk down version of SOA, while each service is like completely isolated from the system and have only one responsibility to take care of. Typically, each service should have its own dedicated team of developers that might be using different technology stack from any other services. That can give you huge flexibility in hiring talents, but this is not always the case in all companies. Now it's time for the pros and cons for microservice. So let's start with the advantages. It gives you a huge ability to adapt to technologies according to your business domain, with huge ability to scale horizontally and also ability to apply agility in your own development process. However, managing data consistency and transaction can be really challenging. Higher cost in HR and also higher cost in infrastructure. Thanks a lot for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.